My name is Lauren. I'm with Sweats in the City, and I help coaches with their online marketing and if they want to grow their online business. And today we are going to talk about one thing when it comes to your Instagram that could boost your Instagram audience. So I know for me, having a big audience on Instagram is a good thing because it means more potential clients. The thing about your audience and the thing about what I'm going to talk more about today is it doesn't matter the size of your audience, it really matters what the quality is. So what I mean is how many of your ideal clients, your ideal customers, your avatars are in your audience watching your content. So I had an idea one day when I was grocery shopping, going through the checkout, and I looked at the magazine racks. And I'm going to take that experience that I had and combine it with the content for today's video. So if you're watching this live, awesome. Thank you so much for supporting me. If you have a question, please drop it below. If you don't have a question and you just want to post your favorite emoji, please do that. If you are catching the replay, please ask a question. I can answer it later, or just say replay, or send me your favorite emoji. I love feedback. So if you're watching this, awesome. And we're going to get right into it. Okay, so this one thing could boost your Instagram audience. We're going to talk about why that's important, but here we go. So today, same thing. Just make sure this is working. All right, we're good. Okay, do you feel like there is just so much talk about your ideal client, your ideal customer, and your ideal client avatar? And there's a reason, because this is your audience. These are the people. These are the most important people of your business. So these are the people that you are going to be showing up for, creating content for. They are going to be who you're creating your lead magnet for, all the way to who you're creating your programs for, your services for. These are the people that you want to serve. These are the people you want to help. These are the people that you want to help achieve their goals. So this is pretty much who you're showing up for every day in your business, is to help this group of people. So it's so important to know who these people are. And you can't be like medium on knowing who these people are. You have to know exactly who they are. You have to know that when they wake up in the morning, are they going to have eggs? Are they going to have cereal? Are they thinking of fasting? Do they wonder if keto is for them? So you have to be so in tune with what they're thinking all the time, Monday through Sunday, all the time, especially dependent on whatever you're trying to help them. But we're not going to go super far into that today. I have lots of videos on that, but we need to make sure that we have our ideal client defined so we know how to communicate to them, that we can create good content for them, that we can sell them our program and services and help more people. A complete side note to that, the more you know about your ideal client and what their needs are and how you can provide for them and help them, the less salesy you become. Because if you have a really good product to someone who needs it, it doesn't feel salesy because you are helping them achieve their goals. So, side note, if you don't want to be salesy, get really in tune with your ideal client. Okay, now we are going to talk about it in regards to a magazine rack. So we've all seen them. They're at all grocery stores. They're at Shoppers Drug Mart. They're at Home Depot. It's when you're going through the checkout and you're looking at the magazine rack and there have so many different magazines, all different genres, and maybe you pick one up and you flip, maybe you just leave it there, maybe every time you go through the checkout you're excited because you get a look at the People magazine or some tabloid or whatever magazine attracts you and gets you to pick it up and open and look. And so a magazine rack is very, 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 very similar to your Instagram feed. So think of the mindset of people when they go on Instagram. They're usually maybe waiting for something. Maybe they are relaxing at night. They don't really have. They're usually not going on Instagram to look at specific things. They're usually going on Instagram because they want to entertain themselves in a void of time. And so just like going through the checkout, people are just trying to find some entertainment while they're waiting. And so there are a lot of similarities between the magazine rack and your Instagram feed, and we're going to go through that today. So, all magazines have a specific ideal audience. This is the only one I could find where this little girl is picking out her Teletubby magazine, but completely relevant to what the point I'm making. Obviously, a little girl is going to want to watch or read about Teletubbies. She's not going to want to read about home and garden or horses or Cosmo, hopefully, or any other thing like outside of that someone else may like. The magazine is on the lower rack so that she can grab it. It's right in her attention, and she picks her favorite one, which is Teletubbies, I think. I'm just assuming that's her favorite one. But it's important to note because all magazines have a specific audience in mind. If you think of the Outside magazine, the athletic magazine, it's like athletes. Cosmo are going to be females. Teen magazines, we have business magazines. They all have an ideal audience in mind. And when you look at their magazine cover, it's very similar to an Instagram post. So one, there's always a consistent brand name. So think of that as your Instagram handle. Like I'm always Sweats in the City. I don't change that up. People may know me as Lauren. Some people may know me as Sweats in the City. Cosmo hasn't changed her name for a really long time, I don't think. It's been around as long as I know. Canadian Living, a really popular one. Chatelaine. What else is there that like I'm just trying to think of the ones that like I grew up with and saw on like National Enquirer. There's so many. So it's like magazines don't change the title or the name of their magazine, just like your Instagram handle and or your business name. You should always keep that consistent and have that consistent everywhere. There's a compelling picture. So this picture is very compelling, which made me interested in like who this person is. But you want to have a compelling picture. So maybe it's like a really pretty picture. Maybe it's you with an expression. Maybe it's you thinking. Maybe it's a dog. Whatever you think your audience is going to be like, what's going on? Or that's really nice. Or I want to know more. You want to have that type of picture. You want to have an interesting headline. So you can either call out a problem or a pain point like this. Do you have comparison anxiety? Which could be relevant to my audience actually in social media. But they always want to, asking a question and calling out a problem is the easiest way to grab attention. But you can have something else that's really exciting that's going to draw your audience in to make them want to read more. You can provide solutions. So it's like, do you have comparison anxiety? Here are 3 tips that I do to overcome that. Or entertainment. Your Instagram feed is to entertain. Maybe you post something about your dog or your food, which is kind of educational, or your kids doing something funny. It's sometimes entertaining. Maybe you're doing something funny if you're a funny person. You're entertaining. Think of the person of the mindset when someone comes on Instagram. It's usually light. It's not too heavy. You're entertaining. You're solving problems. But you're keeping it pretty light. It's not too intense. You want people to always, in my opinion, you always want people to feel light and happy after they view your page. If you make someone feel light and happy, if you solve some problems, if you lighten things up, they're going to want to come back. Magazines are consistent. So like I said on the past screen, the title always stays the same, but the readers always know what to expect. So my mom always would get Canadian Living when I was little. There's always a recipe in there. There's probably some sort of decoration thing in there. There's probably some sort of family do with your kids thing in there. And so she always knew what to expect when she bought it, which made her want to buy it. So she knew that she could get the best holiday Christmas recipe or the best stocking stuffer ideas or the best way to decorate your house on a budget type of ideas all the time when she got Canadian Living. So it was very specific for her and consistent with the content. So it's applicable to the audience and what they're interested in and their pain points, consistent inside, and readers know what to expect. I feel like we covered that one. And there's also like things like editorials or there's just so much stuff that's in a magazine. And so where I'm going with this is with your Instagram feed, you should have it planned out with what content you show up with. If you want, you can think of 9 different topics or 6 different topics so that you can always show up talking about that certain thing. And maybe those change, but for me, I find structure when I create content for my Instagram, one, keeps it consistent because it's easier for me to come up with ideas when I have like constraints about it, which kind of sounds funny, but it's just easier for me. And then 2, if you look at your content feed, it's always going to be variable. So you're not always talking workout, 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 workout. Maybe you're talking workout, at home workout, lunch while I'm running around town because I'm a super busy mom, a set it and forget it meal, workouts when I go on holiday with my family because we live in Calgary and we go to Mexico every year. And so it's like, what can you put up on your feed that's consistent and then just repeat it? A lot of people don't want to repeat things, but I guarantee you Canadian Living isn't thinking, oh, we put a recipe in last month, we shouldn't do it again. It's like you can repeat topics, you can repeat ideas of content over and over and over again because it's what you're going to get known for. And you want to get known for something. You don't want to help everybody. You want to get known for helping one specific person. Canadian Living isn't sad when, like, my dad doesn't pick it up. They're like, okay, that's great. You're not my ideal audience. If like a 30-year-old man doesn't pick this up, or maybe a 20-year-old lady doesn't pick this up, but like that's not their client audience. That's not their ideal audience. So it doesn't matter if they pick it up. They're focused only on, I'm going to guess, I don't know for sure, like 30 and above women that probably have families. That's probably their ideal audience. And so if anyone else outside that doesn't buy Canadian Living isn't losing sleep about it. And you shouldn't either when it comes to your audience and who's not looking at you, who's not following you. Don't worry about it. What matters is who is. So maybe your magazine isn't at the Shoppers Drug Mart checkout, and maybe you don't need to be on Instagram. So you'll notice that when you're checking out of Shoppers or maybe Home Depot or maybe Memory Express, which is like a computer store in Calgary, if you're at the airport, you're always going to have different magazines at the checkout. And the reason why they do this is they know a certain type of demographic is checking out, and that is their target like the most people, the majority of the audience that goes through there are a certain demographic. So Home Depot generally are going to be men going through there. They're not going to be interested in Cosmo. If you're at an airport, you probably have a bunch of everything. If you are at Shoppers Drug Mart or Safeway, it's like stereotypically women probably shop there more, and they're going to have more female-oriented magazines at the front. So, do you need to be on Instagram? Is your target audience on Instagram? And so you can do more research on this. I actually put a link below that has a lot of really great content, and it's relevant because it's always changing. But what I found, I'm pretty confident it was from 2020 actually. And so you can see 43% of females are on Instagram, 31% of males, and then the breakdown you can see all on the side. And so as you can see, everyone is on Instagram. There's no audiences that aren't on Instagram. And then you have to think of like, okay, so maybe my target audience is 50 to 64 years old on Instagram and 23% is on there. Okay, so then where is the attention of the other 80%? Are they the ones actually picking the magazines up? And so you need to get in front of their attention all the time. And so if your demographic is set or 18 to 24, and 75% of that population is on Instagram, Instagram's probably a pretty good place to be. And it kind of like goes down from there, which makes sense. Like none of these numbers are surprising here. The thing is, showing up on Instagram is free. You don't have to pay for advertising. You can, but this right now isn't paid, and like people will watch it. Maybe my target audience will watch it. Hopefully they will watch it. But I'm not paying for this. If you want to get on some other, like if you want to be in a magazine, if you want to be on billboards, if you want to be, I'm not sure where else, like in the newspaper, like you're going to have to pay. We're being on Instagram or being on Facebook or being on the other social, LinkedIn, depending on your target audience, it's all free. You just have to show up consistently with really good content, and it takes time, and that's called organic growth, which I think is really good. And so all of this, obviously, is dependent, going very back to the beginning, of who your ideal client is and where they're going. What is the signature program that you want to help them with? What are your services that you want to get them signed up for? And the whole process in between, because it's like a big education piece of who your client is, the problems that they have, and how you're going to help them. And you take that and you put it into your demographic. Is that going to look like it's on Instagram? Is it on Facebook? Is it wherever it is? Maybe you do free talk somewhere, and just get that interface. Get in front of them. That is the most important thing. Get in front of your ideal clients with good content. Okay, so are you treating your Instagram like your own magazine? So this I find really interesting. This is the biggest idea of today. This is the one question that I want you to ask yourself after going through all the training today and these next questions that I'm going to ask you to be more specific. But when someone goes onto your Instagram feed, are they going to know right away who you're talking to, the content that you're providing, the problems that you're solving? Does it look nice? Are they going to say, okay, this is of value to me? So are you always constantly talking to one audience, your ideal audience? Do you have compelling and nice images? So it doesn't always have to be professional photos, although I do think that getting some professional photos are incredibly beneficial if you want to show up and look professional. You can trade services with a friend maybe that does photography, or you can hire one if it's in your budget. If not, lighting is key. Always make sure that the sun is in your face. Never take photos when the sun is behind you. That's just a massive side tip, but I see people do it all the time. So daylight is great for photos. Make sure the sun is this way. Do you have an eye-catching headline? So are you like calling out a problem that your ideal client has that they're gonna like grab their attention, make them want to read more? Do you have consistent themes that you always talk about? You want to train your audience what to expect. So if you always show up with different wardrobe ideas, like every single week, comboed with workouts, comboed with your favorite recipe, and you do that consistently, your audience is going to be trained and show up on your Instagram feed expecting that content, which is exactly what we want them to do. We want them to show up on your feed. They're going to scroll through the magazine rack, find you, see what you're talking about that day or that week or that month, whatever it is, how often you show up, which is always consistent. Are you showing up where your audience actually is? Really important, really important. They're probably on Instagram, but maybe 20 to 70% depending on your target audience. Maybe you test it out. So I like testing everything probably for 3 months. Maybe you test it out consistently and you have a strategy and you measure it. That's the best thing that you can do. If you don't know, then you measure it. And you can find stats online, but it's always going to be specific to your ideal client and the service you're providing. So everyone is always different. So we can take the guidelines online, take it for what it is, test it out, but really, really measure it. It's like, okay, are you going to go on keto? Okay, how do you feel now? Where do you want to go? Do keto for 2 months, measure it, see if it works for you. I'm not saying anyone should go on keto. That was just the idea that popped in my head. But I'm just saying measure it. Measure to see what works, and be as educated as possible. What kind of magazine do you want to be? What do you want to be known for? Who do you want to be taking that off the shelf? So really think about that. You want to think, is my Instagram like a magazine? And what kind of magazine do I want to be? Okay, so if you like this, you can still grab my online 3-day marketing workshop. It's just on my webpage. Also, exciting news for those of you in Calgary, I'm going to be doing a live Instagram workshop talking all about how to grow your client base with Instagram. So the dates aren't exactly finalized, but if you are interested, please send me a note. I can get you first on the information to go out there because there is only going to be a limited amount of spots available, but I am super, super, super excited about this. Direct message me if you are interested in either of those. Awesome, guys. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you want, post what type of magazine you want to be in the comments below. So if you have an Instagram feed, if you want to show up like a magazine, if you want to show up with valuable content, post your magazine below. I'd love to hear about it. That'd be awesome. Other than that, I will see you next week and have a great day.